In the ancient dragon realm, none dare trespass uninvited. And goblins, it flicked its tongue in disgust, always leave a terrible taste in our mouths. It would be better to toss you into the lava than waste our teeth on you. The other dragons rumbled in agreement, their massive jaws parting as if ready to devour him in one bite. Desperation clawed at Lin's chest. He raised his hands, forcing his voice to remain steady. Wait! I mean no harm, I'm a friend of the purple dragon mother. The effect was instantaneous. The dragons recoiled as if struck, their mocking laughter dying in their throats. Even the emerald-scaled brute stiffened, its claws digging into the rock beneath it. A tense silence fell over the cavern. Then, a blue dragon, its scales shimmering like sapphires, stepped forward, its voice hushed with disbelief. You know Phorbus? Lin blinked. Phorbus? The dragon's nostrils flared. The purple dragon mother's true name. And if you know her... Its gaze darkened. Are you the father of Despair? Lin's stomach dropped. Despair? Before he could process the name, the green dragon let out a sharp hiss and plunged into the lava below, its massive form vanishing beneath the molten surface. The other dragons exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier bravado replaced by something far more unsettling: fear. A scar-faced dragon leaned in, its voice barely above a whisper. Despair is the offspring of the purple dragon mother and some goblin leader. A hybrid. A monster. Lin's mind reeled. If Phorbus was the purple dragon mother's name, then that monster is my child? The dragons shifted uncomfortably. The blue one cleared its throat, its tone suddenly cautious. If you truly are who you claim, then perhaps we should take you to Phorbus. After a tense silence, Scar-faced Dragon turned, its massive tail flicking toward a tunnel of jagged obsidian. Follow me. But the female with you must wait outside, the heat deeper and would cook her alive. Lin hesitated, then nodded to his companion. Stay here. I'll return. As he followed the dragon into the depths, the others whispered among themselves, their voices laced with dread. Despair's father, here? One muttered. They knew that if Despair knew how we treated his father, they would all be doomed. Other dragon shook its head. A goblin, fathering that abomination. What madness is this? None had an answer. The tunnel led to a vast cavern. The dragon carrying Lin landed at the cavern's entrance, its massive wings stirring up clouds of ash. With a rumbling voice, it told Lin he would need to enter the cave alone, as Despair could be found within. The beast added that if Lin truly was the dragon-goblin hybrid's father, someone would come for them both later. The dragon explained it couldn't accompany him further, as it needed to inform the Dragon King of Lin's arrival. Lin nodded in understanding, waving his hand in gratitude for the dragon's assistance. Steeling himself, Lin turned toward the gaping maw of the cave. As he stepped inside, the stench of decay assaulted his senses. The cavern floor was littered with the remains of countless monsters, their carcasses torn apart with brutal efficiency, grim testament to the power of whatever creature made its lair here. Bones crunched beneath his boots as he ventured deeper into the darkness. As he stepped inside, his breast shallow. Lin wondered if the creature he was about to meet was a cannibal. Its lair was littered with bones, and the stench of devoured flesh hung thick in the air. The sheer size of the remains suggested that whatever dwelled here consumed even its own kind without hesitation. As the scene shifted before his eyes, Lin realized too late that Despair had noticed him. The dragon's massive golden eyes, slit like a serpent's, loomed far closer than Lin had anticipated. A low, rumbling growl vibrated through the cavern, sending tremors across the obsidian ground. Despair, whose full name was Despair Nidhogg, though Lin privately agreed that Despair was a melodramatic title, examined the intruder with palpable disdain. To the ancient dragon, the goblin leader was nothing more than a speck of dust daring to trespass in his domain. Lin knew he had to seize control of the situation before it spiraled into violence. But before he could speak, Nidhogg's jaws parted, revealing rows of dagger-like teeth, each longer than a man's arm. A deafening howl erupted from the beast's throat, shaking the cavern walls and sending molten droplets spattering from the ceiling. The sound was less a roar and more a promise, a prelude to slaughter. The dragon's breath reeked of sulfur and old blood, his hot, rancid saliva dripping onto the stone where it sizzled like acid. Lin barely resisted the urge to step back. One wrong move, and those teeth would reduce him to pulp in an instant. Yet, despite the terror clawing at his chest, Lin stood his ground. If this creature truly was his offspring, then it would listen, whether it wanted to or not. Nidhogg opened his mouth and said, "Who is this creature, and how dare he enter the lava cave?" Lin somehow maintained his footing, though the dragon's sounds forced to buckle his knees. Lin threw up his hands and shouted for the beast to stop. "Wait! Just give me a damn second to explain." To his surprise, Nidhogg stilled, his massive nostrils flaring as something flickered behind those predatory eyes. Recognition. Not trust, not yet, but enough curiosity to stay his killing instinct. Seizing the opening, Lin blurted the one card he had. "Your mother, she's the purple gold dragon mother, right? Furbus?" The effect was instant. Nidhogg recoiled as if struck, his spines bristling along his back. No mere goblin should know that name. The dragon's intellect, often underestimated, sharpened as pieces clicked into place. Before Nidhogg could gather his thoughts, Lin smiled and announced that he was Nidhogg's father. The dragon hybrid's face flushed with embarrassment and irritation. He scoffed, insisting that his father was a goblin and that Lin was nothing more than a scrawny green creature who looked nothing like him. Lin chuckled, wondering aloud if Nidhogg had ever actually seen a real goblin. But before he could press further, a strange shift came over the boy. A vibrant green aura began radiating from Nidhogg as he leaned in, inhaling Lin's scent. Something clicked. The smell was the same as his own. Green flames ignited across his body as his form began to change. Lin watched with curiosity as his son transformed, shedding his draconic shape until he stood in his human form. Suspicious, Nidhogg told Lin he should come with him to meet his mother, but warned that if Lin was lying, he would be eaten without hesitation. Lin, briefly taken aback by the boy's human appearance. He knew he had no choice but to follow. Yichuan, a mental patient, sees all living creatures as pigs. On the day of his job assignment, he awakened a life-class profession, butcher. His teachers and classmates were bitterly disappointed, and even his childhood sweetheart left him. However, this seemingly useless profession granted him two unique traits. He deals extra damage to pigs. Damage from pigs is halved. And since everyone looks like pigs in his eyes, armed with just a butcher's knife, Yichuan begins his incredible rise to godhood. Full recap is in the channel and link in description.